Hi, Piper kids. We are going to be starting chapter 4 in Poppy and Rye by Avi. As we remember in chapter 3, it had both Poppy and Aerith as they start out on their adventure. Now we're going to switch back to our original characters at the beginning of the book, which were Valorant, Clover, and the Beaver, if you remember his name. And so this chapter 4, is called The Water Rises. The beavers built the dam higher. Inch by inch, the water rose. It licked the lower banks, then swallowed them whole. It crept and crawled and poked into every crevice, filling them up. It trickled along animal paths and washed them away. It sank flowers and grasses and turned them into soup. It slid between bushes and trees and drowned them, root, leaf, and branches. It made islands of low hills. In it flooded nests, the water was unstoppable. Though Clover and Valorant could observe the water rising with their own eyes, they found it hard to accept that their nest was doomed. After all, they had lived in one place for years. During that time, how many storms had they weathered? How many droughts? How many cold winters? To all questions, the same answer: many. Why are the beavers doing this? The children asked. Be fair, Valorant said, with a catch in his throat and a hardness look on his face. We don't own the brook, do we? Don't you think beavers have as much right to live here as we do? So as sad as Valorant and Clover are and don't want the beavers to do this, they're trying not to worry or show that to their children by saying we all have to share and that, everything will turn out okay. But deep down, both Valorant and Clover are very nervous of what's going to happen next. Here we go. But their pond is getting huge. One of the children, dejected. It's taking over everything. Valorant sighed. Maybe I can talk to them. So it was that Valorant, feeling apprehensive, tried to keep his gray whiskers neat, crept down to the shore of the newly created pond. The old brook had been surrounded by many trees. The new pond had encircled by chewed off and jagged stumps. The old brook was tranquil. The new pond fairly rattled with beavers hard at work. Even as Valorant stood there, he heard the sound of yet another tree crashing. He winced, which just means like he cringed, because he knows the more trees that fall, the bigger the pond or the brook is going to get, and the sooner they'll have to leave if they can't stop the beavers. One of the beavers paused to look around. Hey, old timer, what's up? I'm fine, thank you, Valorant returned politely. Who are you? The beaver asked. I live here. Do you? That's cool. What's happening, pal? I'd like to speak to Mr. Kanad. Cass, he's probably busy, but I'll go check. The beaver dove, leaving Valorant to pace nervously, tail waving in agitation. So Valorant's nervous and upset that he has to leave. Within moments, Mr. Kanad burst up to the water's surface. Hey, pal, nice to see you again, he cried out. Don't think I got your name. Valorant. Val, that's right. What's up, pal? Well, sir, it's this pond you're building. Sight for sore eyes, isn't it? The beaver boomed. So there, as you see in the picture, you can see the beavers are chewing down the trees. You can see Valorant popping his head up. You can see more beavers busy at work. The brook's getting larger and larger with each tree that's falling and damming up the brook to enlarge the pond. Well, I was just wondering how. No one owns the brook. So, of course, naturally, we're obliged to share. But we were wondering just how, big you intend to make it." "Big?" Mr. Canard cried. "Tell you something, pal. You ain't seen nothing yet. Talking world-class pond here. The cat's pajamas and meow in combo. Over the top, major league, the whole enchilada. Hey, pal, Canard Company don't do small." "But," Valoran said, "if you make it too big, you'll drive us folks who live here away." "Look here, pal," Mr. Canard said, "I'm telling you, I'd be tickled pink to see you stay. You seem decent, clean, good manners. Not a troublemaker, are you?" "No, sir." "Great. Glad to have you around. Progress without pain. That's our slogan. But if you have to move, well, hey, no problem. Have a great trip. Bon voyage. Hasta la Suiza. Ava nueve." "Can't we compromise?" Valoran pleaded. "So we can both stay?" "Pal, I put quality time into this question. Comes to this. Heavens do and beavers do what beavers do. There you are. Question in, answer out. Neat as a pin. Hey, nice talking to you, pal." "Appreciate it. Really do. Have a nice day. I mean it, sincerely," he cried, and he dove beneath the water. Valoran, more discouraged than when he went, returned to the nest. "What did they say?" his children asked. "We have to move." So Valoran and Clover began a frantic search for another suitable home. It was not easy. In the best of times, good nests were hard to find. Now they had waited too long. Many creatures caught in the same predicament as they were already gone. When the mice finally found an acceptable new home, it was on a hill, cresting the ridge overlooking the new pond, a small damp hole with a large cold boulder for a roof. So their home that they're in now is down by the brook. It's dry, there's plenty of room, but yet they can go down by the brook whenever they need to eat those bugs or have water. And the new one is up on a hillside. It's small, it's damp, which means kind of wet inside, with a large cold boulder as a roof. And here's a picture of what it looks like. So you can see Valoran up on top. It's on a hillside. They have to live under the boulder, so they don't even have as much room to be living with all of their children in that. And remember, they have up to 4 litters a year. And so they have a lot of mice that are living in there. The boulder was perched precociously atop the hill, so it's not even very safe as it's perched up on the hill. As Valoran considered it, he worried that it wouldn't take much to set it rolling down. That brought nightmarish visions of its tumbling away in the night, leaving his children exposed. Clover sighed. "It'll have to do." "I reckon it will," Valoran agreed, trying to hide his worries. Neither one mentioned that fitting 13 children into one dark, chilly nest was going to be difficult. Yet even after they had found their new quarters, so new quarters is their new house, they put off moving. It was too painful. Only when water began to trickle down their long entryway and make puddles in the middle of their main room did the family pack their belongings. These belongings, already mildewed and sodden, were easy enough to gather and head out of the tunnel. Much harder was the removal of their children, so they were able to get their stuff packed out, but their children did not want to leave. "Do we have to move?" the first complained. "But Ma," said another, "what about my friends?" "The water isn't that bad," said a third. "We can make rafts, build a houseboat, swim from room to room. It would be cool." And a fourth, Do we really, 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 really will come back when the water goes down? Dear, dear children, Clover said, trying unsuccessfully to keep back her tears. We have to go. Of those children who still live at home, Rye was the eldest. And there they are, gathering up their belongings, their seeds, and their different belongings. There's Clover and Valoran talking. There you can see them looking back into their tunnel as the water's creeping in. So now they're going to talk about Rye, who's the oldest. He's the oldest now that Ragweed has left. So it's going to talk a little bit about him, there'll be a question afterwards about Rye and how he's feeling. Like all the golden mice, he had fur of an earthy orange color, a tail that was not very long, small, round ears, and youthful, downy whiskers. He did have a small notch in his right ear, but that was the result of a childhood accident. Rye had never left home. He claimed he stayed behind to help his parents with the youngsters. Others suggested it was because he enjoyed being the oldest, which he became once Ragweed had left. Rye, Valoran said, take yourself and some of your siblings, which are your brothers and sisters, and go search out the rest of the family. Let them know your mother and I have moved to higher ground. Tell them where. Rye's chest swelled, so it's all puffing up, with pride that it was he who had been called upon to inform his far-flung family about what was happening. Thistle, his by 1 litter younger sister, squeaked, do we have to go to everybody? She wasn't even sure how many brothers and sisters she had. Absolutely, Valoran insisted. All 63. Now do hurry, Rye, Clover said. It's urgent. Hearing the distress in their parents' voice, Rye, Thistle, and a younger brother, Curly Dock, sped off to do as they were told. Later that day, the family moved. When the children were all out of the nest, Clover and Valoran took one last lingering look about their old home. Side by side, she short and plump, he tall and thin, they held paws. Suddenly, Clover said, Valoran, what about Ragweed? What about him? Who's going to tell him where we've gone? Valoran pulled his whiskers. Clover, love, I'd say that when and if Ragweed gets back, he'll see for himself that things have changed. That's all. What do you mean, if? Clover asked. Just saying, if ever we had a smart child, it's Ragweed. He'll find us when he comes looking. Clover and Valoran scampered out of the nest. Within hours, their old home was entirely underwater. And that ends chapter 4. And our next chapter will be some words are exchanged. So you might make a prediction of who's exchanging words. Will it be Poppy and Aerith? Will it be Valoran and Clover? Will it include Mr. Kanad? Some questions I want you to think about now that we have read that chapter. And you might notice my new friend sitting here. His name is Pumpkin. He's brand new to our family today. He is about 3 to 4 months old. We got him from a lady who lives in Ashford that had some kittens that she took in that were strays. And so, as you see, even though it's only been a few hours, Pumpkin seems to be just fine being snuggled up to us. And I guess that's kind of the spark in having to be home. Of course, I love being home with Sarah and Austin, but I miss my Piper kids very, very much. And so since we're able to be home, we have Finn, who is doing fantastic. But now we have included Pumpkin, our kitten, to the mix. So some questions that I want us to think about. Excuse me here, Pumpkin. Okay. some questions that I want us to think about as we read the chapter. And I want you to think about, have you ever moved before? And I mean like moved houses. And if you have, this is a question I want you to think about. Have you ever moved houses before? If you did, what did you do, if anything, so that your friends and family could find you? I know that was something that Clover is very concerned. How is Ragweed going to find their new house? And as we know, where Ragweed is right now. But so if you've ever moved houses, did you do anything, or what did you do so that your friends and family could find you at your new house? Another question that I want you to think about. Clover and Valoran ask Rai to go tell his family about the move. So now Rai is the oldest that is left there. So they call on the oldest and then 2 siblings to go with them. So Clover and Valoran ask Rai to go tell his family about the move. Rai is the oldest, but Rai's never left home before. So he may be old enough to leave home, but he's never done it before. How do you think Rai is feeling inside about this? Do you think Rai is feeling excited to leave home? Do you think Rai is feeling nervous about leaving home? How do you think Rai is feeling about leaving home and having this responsibility of finding all 63 of the family members? And what in the chapter makes you feel how you think Rai is feeling? What in the chapter makes you think that he's proud of it, that he's nervous about the responsibility, or if you think something else? What in the chapter makes you think that? I do have one more question, and it has to do with Mr. Kanad. And when we go to character traits, and we talk about different character traits, one of the things that I noticed towards the beginning of the chapter, it seems like throughout this book so far even, Mr. Kanad seems like he's a pretty friendly guy. He always has a good attitude. He calls Valoran his friend or his pal. But then when Valoran asks him to share the brook for all the animals to be able to live there, he just says, beaver's got to do what beaver's got to do. And then he just swims away. So how does that affect how you feel about Mr. Kanad? He seems nice and friendly, but yet when Valoran's going to him talking about, hey, could we maybe change things up so we can all share, he just kind of laughs it off or shrugs it off and swims away. So how might that make you feel about Mr. Kanad and some of his character traits? So I hope you guys had a great beginning of official learning at home. If you have any questions at all about the schedule that I put out for your parents and for you to kind of go by, please email me and ask me any questions. I love seeing any pictures of things that you've done at home, or videos. You might send me quick videos sharing some things with me about things that you or your family has done. So I am happy to answer questions, and I love seeing and hearing from you guys. So have a great night, and then I'm going to try to be able to upload for Tuesdays and Thursdays. Just because our internet, as some of you are having the same problem, the internet is not working as well as it normally does because everybody's on it. So I'm going to try for the 2 days a week. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, but they will be recorded so you can watch them any day or time. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.